Hi everyone. Thanks for your time today at the global platform Ignite stage. My name is Andrew Tupper. My talk today is about the need to adjust our international structures if we're serious about improving multi-hazard early warning systems. The example that I'm using is for volcanic eruptions, but the same principles will apply for some other hazards. Now, I'm not a volcanologist. I'm a meteorologist, and most of my career has been in the management of early warnings for meteorological hazards, including tropical cyclones, severe thunderstorms, floods, fires, and tsunamis. I've also been involved a lot with the International Airways Volcano Watch, which is the global system for managing safe flight around volcanic ash clouds, coordinated by the International Civil Aviation Organization with help from the World Meteorological Organization. This warning system was put into place following the eruptions of Mount Galunggung in Western Java 40 years ago this year, and not far from where this meeting is taking place. The eruptions were locally devastating, but also came to the world's notice when a British Airways 747 Flight 009 lost power to all four engines. Further ash encounters with aircraft followed, with much damage and economic disruption. Before COVID hit us, volcanic ash was probably the number one wildcard disruptor to air travel. To manage the threat, the architects of the International Airways Volcano Watch did a marvellous and mostly successful job putting together an international warning system for the specific hazard of volcanic ash clouds threatening aircraft. And a lot of work has been done since. However, I don't believe that we've paid enough attention at the global level to the many hazards other than volcanic ash that volcanoes pose. Let's quickly talk about volcanoes and their hazards, with my apologies to any real volcanologists listening who could do a much better job of this bit. Volcanoes are multi-hazard production machines, both close to and at a distance from the volcano. The many hazards include pyroclastic flows, lava, ballistics, volcanic ashfall, toxic gases, tsunamis, pumice, lahars, and even lightning. And, this is a critical point, many of these hazards require a multidisciplinary, collaborative approach to handle well, meaning that strong volcanic agencies also need to be supported by a strong global network of capabilities. To handle the volcanic ash risk to aircraft, for example, you need to monitor volcanoes, observe eruptions, forecast the ash cloud movement, and advise aircraft operators where the ash is going to go in the wind. That's a combined volcanological and meteorological problem. But what about forecasting the severe impacts of volcanic ash and gases on the ground? It's the same thing. Volcanologists and meteorologists need to work together to work out the dispersal patterns around the volcano. And what about lahars? Lahars, volcanic mudslides, are triggered by heavy rainfall. Meteorological prediction of heavy rainfall is getting increasingly skillful, including in the tropics and around mountains, and so there are opportunities to work together in that area. And in fact, it was reported that the lava dome collapse and devastating eruption of Mount Semeru in eastern Java last December was also triggered by heavy rainfall. Of course, the big eruption on our minds this year was the Hunga Hapai event in Tonga, which created global shockwaves and tsunamis, and local ashfall and pumice, which can be a major navigation hazard. And I'm sure that we all know that the Indonesian volcano Krakatau took 36,000 lives through tsunamis in 1883. These are not just localised hazards, and quite often volcanic eruptions overwhelm local authorities anyway, so leaving it to the locals to handle without support is not an option. If a volcanic eruption creates hazards that simultaneously affect the land, air, and sea, and require multidisciplinary collaboration in real time and cross borders, then clearly we need to organise ourselves internationally to meet the challenges that they pose. But we are not currently well organised to meet these challenges, and with our current international structures, there is also a risk that we will organise ourselves poorly in the future, undermining the Sendai target to substantially increase the availability of and access to multi-hazard early warning systems and disaster risk information and assessments to people by 2030. At the international science level, the peak body for volcanologists is the excellent International Association of Volcanology and Chemistry of the Earth's Interior, or IAVCE, which is itself part of the International Union of Geodesy and Geophysics, or IUGG. And the IUGG also has the International Association of Meteorology and Atmospheric Sciences, or ARMAS. So there are lots of possibilities for science collaboration. But international warning systems are not generally coordinated by volunteer science societies. They are coordinated through UN processes. In the UN structure, we have the World Meteorological Organization, which has been effective in coordinating operational early warning systems in hydrometeorology. We have the International Oceanographic Commission of UNESCO, which has done a lot of hard work with tsunami systems. We have key user agencies such as the International Civil Aviation and Maritime Organisations. We have UNDRR, of course. And despite all the frustrations that go with international work, these structures work. Planes fly extremely safely using consistent global rules. Weather forecasting has advanced incredibly. And here we all are, driving global early warning and disaster mitigation systems forwards as fast as we can. But what we don't have in this structure is the go-to place for helping volcanological systems develop. And somehow we must create this. Why am I so emphatic on this point? Because, in my opinion, for the 40 years since the Galungong eruptions, we have been working around the issue that volcano observatories are generally not well enough supported across the world, despite the incredible passion and talents in the volcanological community. And we have also been ignoring the fact that volcano observatories have to prioritise their limited resources towards populations on the ground. Despite the many wins that we've had, it just doesn't work well to approach this from a single issue standpoint. If we now pursue volcanic tsunamis with the same vigour that volcanic ash has been pursued, I suspect that we will end up with the same frustrations, that volcano observatories are not sufficiently supported to do what's being asked. However, just suppose that in response to what happened in Tonga in January, we got volcanologists all the resources they need, and we built better warning systems for ashfall and volcanic tsunamis, but failed to do this in a coordinated way. We would end up with disconnected, siloed warning systems with a large associated overhead, the very opposite of what we're trying to achieve. These systems would be impossible to sustain or navigate, most particularly for the volcano observatories in country, who do not want to spend their time dealing with international disorganisation. So not only do we need to act to improve our warning systems, we need to act in a considered, coordinated fashion to avoid unnecessary problems for future generations. Integrated, multi-hazard systems cannot just be empty talk. Can we fix this? Of course we can. The biggest leap that we have to make is to carve out space for the volcanologists in the UN system and work out how that will be funded and sustained. With enough willpower, we can do that, even if that means creating a virtual home within a coalition of agencies and working it out from there. Even as we do that, it should be easy to facilitate a number of pilot projects that demonstrate the benefits of true global collaboration around volcanic hazards and encourage everybody to get on board. What kind of projects? Well, some things seem simple and obvious, like ensuring that all data that is useful across disciplines are shared in standard formats across disciplines in real time. For example, volcanologists have been telling us for years that they would like to see real-time radar data shared across borders and across agencies to help see what's going on during an eruption. And we know that the sharing of seismic data is also a long-standing issue. Perhaps the most exciting area of data and science sharing could be in numerical modelling. The World Meteorological Organization manages the global data processing and forecasting system, a network of centres that use and share numerical prediction for the global good. This network already assists with the International Airways Volcano Watch through ICAO-designated volcanic ash advisory centres. Imagine if we reconfigured the network to ensure that around every active or potentially active volcano, we had high-resolution, convection-resolving modelling, as well as the best possible long-range modelling, and we operationally supported all the tools needed for ashfall and gas transport forecasting, as well as detailed weather forecasts to assess meteorological influences at the eruption site. And when we add in pumice transport forecasting and also ensure that we seamlessly support tsunami warning needs, we'll be bringing much better capabilities to bear. The other major ways that the UN system can help volcano observatories are through standardisation and influence. Standardisation so that volcano observatory best practices can be continuously improved and agreed as quickly as possible. Influence so that they can be applied wherever possible, and the international community can help address the remaining gaps through development assistance. We know that that work is neither easy nor quick, but it is necessary if we are serious. Lastly, we need better coordination of a global surge workforce. For decades, the United States Geological Survey, along with agencies in some other countries, have been providing assistance during volcanic crises, but often this is on a bilateral, ad hoc basis. With true international coordination, there's a lot more that can be done to help countries who are having a volcanic crisis. It should no longer be acceptable to leave volcanologists without working seismometers or without the people that they need when things start to get interesting. So let me review the key points I've made. 1. We need to be willing to reform our systems and agencies at the highest levels if we're serious about improving multi-hazard early warning systems. 2. Volcanoes create multiple hazards that cross borders and cross disciplines. 3. Volcanologists are amazing people. Volcanic agencies range between highly functional and very challenged, but we don't have the right UN structures in place to support them. 4. With enough willpower, including in our resourcing, we could create the right supporting structure from a coalition of existing UN agencies. I particularly note that the WMO has been charged by the UN Secretary General to substantially progress global multi-hazard early warning system coverage within 5 years. WMO can't do that in isolation, so we need some big thinking around hazards like volcanoes as well as many others. If we don't take global coordinated action, we risk creating siloed, hazard-specific structures that are less effective than we need. But if we get this right, even if we start with an interim structure and some pilot projects, we could expect to see more or less immediate benefits while we work out the rest. Thank you again for your time. I would be grateful for any comments or suggestions that you have.